Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another great training from Auto Mastery University, if I say so myself, on the topic of management and really leadership. Hey, for the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about one of my favorite books ever, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. As a matter of fact, last week on Wednesday, we did a workshop for an hour on that topic. And if you're interested in seeing that in a replay, then email me at bart@bartnollenberger.com. I'll be glad to email it to you. We're actually going to do another one next Tuesday where we deep dive into this topic. And we're going to talk about culture and how that affects culture. We're going to talk about trust, a number of different topics on the 21 irrefutable laws. If you're so inclined, if you want a free book, and you're the first five people that hit me up, in other words, email me at bart@bartnollenberger.com and say, "Give me the book," I will send you a free copy of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership workbook, the 25th anniversary edition. And I'm honored to be able to do that for you if that's something you're interested in. We're, again, one more time, next Tuesday, the 19th, that'll be 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time on that topic. And we're going to rock and roll. And I think you're really going to enjoy it. If you're a budding leader or a leader that it's been around a while, but you want to get better, no better book than the 21 Irrefutables. Also, if you get one of those workbooks, in the beginning of the workbook is a questionnaire, a survey, an assessment that has 21 different categories, and you get to rate yourself as a leader. That's worth the price of the free book and the price of the free workshop next week. Again, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Let's rock and roll. Today, we're going to bring in John, and he's going to talk about the second law, the law of influence, which is a pretty powerful one. It's one of my favorites. So I'm going to share that with you, and you and I are going to have an opportunity to bring John onto this training. And here we go.
Let's talk about the second law of leadership. It's the law of influence. The law of influence simply says the true measure of leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. I'll still remember maybe my greatest Christmas gift as I sat with my assistant who gave me a book many, many years ago when I was very young. And it was for Christmas, and I opened it up because I love to read. On the outside cover, it was the title, The Greatest Story Ever Told. I could hardly wait to open up the pages to see what the greatest story ever told was, and much to my surprise, when I did, the pages were blank. And I looked at her, and she said, "Go to the first page," and I did, and on the first page, she had written a note to me. The note read, "John, your life is before you. You fill these pages with dreams of your heart. Things that you want to do, things that will allow you to be significant in life." I'll never forget, I took that book and I began the next day writing in that book, and the first thing I said is that I wanted to make a difference. You see, that book kind of helped me nail down my dream. My dream was simple. I wanted to make a difference in people's lives. And then I sat back and I asked myself, well, if I want to make a difference in people's lives, how am I going to do that? I came to the conclusion that for me, adding value to people was how I would make a difference in people's lives. Now, you have to understand, as I've grown over the years, that dream has matured. And if you ask me now, I would say I want to make a difference in leaders' lives. In fact, I want it to be said about me that I made a difference in leaders' lives, and they multiplied that difference in the lives of others, because that's who I am and that's what I want to do. But you see, I got my dream, and then I asked myself, how do I accomplish the dream? And then I came to the law of influence. I didn't have a law of influence back then because I hadn't written the book, but trust me, as soon as I realized what my dream was and how I was going to accomplish it, I asked myself the question, how many? How many people now can I make a difference in their life? In other words, how can I increase my influence? You see, what I realize, and I want you to realize today at this Lunch and Learn, is this. When I increase my influence, I realize my dream. So if your dream is to just influence 10 people, you really don't need to work too hard about that. You probably have 10, you could do that now. But if your dream is to positively affect tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands, millions, this law of influence is going to be really huge, because you're only going to be able to touch the lives of the people that you can influence. So how do you expand that influence? That was my question. And so I started off within myself. How is John Maxwell going to expand his influence? And I decided to do several things. One, I said I'm going to add value to others every day. And I began to practice that. Just one-on-one, I'd see somebody that I could say something to or encourage them in, and I would add value to them. And I made it a way of life. It really became who I truly am. And then I said, well, I'm also going to teach. I'm going to teach people. I'll hold conferences and seminars, and I'll share with them my leadership principles and how that they can make a difference in others' lives. And so I brought people together, and it was pretty successful. And then I remember so well sitting with my mentor one day, and I asked him why he wrote books. And he said, John, I write books so I can expand my influence beyond my own personal touch. That was the day I decided to write books. I didn't want to become an author. I wanted to expand my influence. So I said, I'm going to write books. And now today I've written almost 100 books and over 30 million copies, and that influence has expanded. I also said for myself, Maxwell, if you're really going to expand your influence, you need to exceed expectations. You need to not only meet expectations, which is what a few people do, you need to exceed them. And I have found that exceeding expectations has been a wonderful way for other people to tell other people about me. Because you see, when you get legs to your influence, that's other people telling other people they need to hear you, see you, be around you. It's because you exceed expectations. That's that extra bit of effort and that extra bit of touch that really gives the legs to the influence. So now you can see I'm doing really well personally. But then I realized, to go to a whole new level of increasing my influence, I had to develop a team. I had to bring people around me that would have the same message, the same heart, that would have my DNA. And I realized if I was going to do that, this would take an extra level of commitment to me and understanding of how do you build a team. Again, that's where my friend Mark Cole comes in, who runs my companies, because he's the one who expands my influence more than anyone else, because he works with my companies, my teams. And I want Mark now to come and share with you again, how do you take the law of influence and how do you apply it to yourself and to your team? Because you see, I had the dream, but I also needed to have a team. So when people come to me and they say, I have a big dream, the question I have is, do you have a big team to match that big dream? Because that's truly how you extend your influence. So listen to Mark. He'll apply to you how to do that with your team.
Way to go. Now, what do you get out of that? Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. I'm going to put you to work here, and I want you to rate yourself on some of these categories. And then we're going to have Mark come up in a moment as we're going to push up against that 15 minutes. But I know this is so powerful that you'll enjoy it. All right, so here's what I want you to do. What do you usually rely upon most to persuade people to follow you? Rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 for each of the following factors. A score of 1 means it's not a factor, and a score of 10 means you rely on it continually. You ready? Grab a pen, piece of paper. If you're driving, use your photographic memory or come back and listen to this again. All right. Character. Character is who you are. On a scale 1 to 10, is that what you rely on most to get people to follow you? Where are you with character? Next question. Relationships. Relationships is who you know. Do you rely on relationships more to get people to follow you or not? Again, if you do, it's a 10. If you don't, it's a 0 or 1. First one was character, second one was relationships. Here's the third one, knowledge. You rely, knowledge, of course, is what you know. Do you rely on knowledge to get people to follow you? If that's true, at big time, it's a 10. Less so, it's a 1. Again, it could be in the middle as well. Next one, intuition. That's what you feel. You rely on intuition to get people to follow you, and that's a big part of how you lead. That would be closer to 10. Or if not so, might be 0, 1, 2, 3, anywhere in there. How do you rate intuition? Next one's experience, where you've been. Do you use experience to persuade people to follow you? And if so, where's that on a scale of 0 to 10? Next one, past success. What you've done. Do you rely on past success to persuade people to follow you? Where's that rate on a scale 1 to 10? 10, of course, being the most, 1 being the least. And lastly, ability. Ability, what you can do. Do you rely on that to get you to have people follow you? Where does that go? So again, good stuff there. And I'm going to share with you what Mark has to say is here as well. And we're going to talk about that in a momento. And what I'm going to do is I want Mark to come up here and just give us his feedback on what he believes about influence as we pull this up. And I am going to pull that up for you. One moment, please. We will share Mark Cole here right now. There we go. I'm a technical guy, I do declare. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Well,
John so effortlessly talks about the law of influence. But at the time of this recording, John now has the book, 21 Laws, in over 57 languages. In fact, we've trained leaders in every recognized nation of the world. We have John Maxwell team members, certified coaches in over 150 countries. 20 presidents, heads of nations, have written to John and said, John, will you and your team come and help us transform our country? Truly, the law of influence is at work in everything that we do. But I stand here today with an understanding with this law of influence that as a leader, I'm going to need to lead differently in this time of influence. Our dream is big. As we've trained leaders in every country of the world, our opportunities are greater. So as the opportunities have increased, I've realized I need leaders on my team that can think bigger, better, and faster than me. We have the message. We have the influence. We need messengers to carry it out. We need vision casters. We need vision carriers. So my challenge today is perhaps your challenge as well. How clear is my dream? This is vision casting. How competent is my team? This is vision carrier. And I want you in this next few minutes, I want you to answer that question. I want you to answer the question, how clear is my vision? How clear is my dream? I want you to answer the question, how competent is my team? You're going to have to answer a question today. Do you need to replace any of your teammates? Do you need to replace the people that can't go where you're going? Perhaps it will help you to rank your teammates. The ones that rank 7 to 9, empower them. The teammates that rank 5 to 7, I'm going to tell you, you're going to need to challenge them to get where you want to go. The teammates that would rank a 3 to 5, you need to figure out a way to replace them. Because as you pursue the law of influence, your dream has to be clear, your vision has to be repeatable, your team has to be able to not only repeat it, they have to have the competence to execute on the dream. Again, go to work with your facilitator, answer these questions, and begin discussing them in your group.
hey, way to go. So now is our opportunity. We got to wrap this up, but there's some homework for you here. I want you to start thinking about how clear is your vision? Is the vision so clear that you can see the step by step by step? Can other people on the team see the vision? Do they understand your values? Do they understand your character? Do we communicate well? Or is there bickering going on? And because of that, everyone not understanding the vision, could that be the cause of the vision of the bickering? Is everybody coming together? You have walls between departments, or are the walls starting to be torn down because, again, everybody is walking in the same direction? They're walking with hand in hand, knowing where we're going to go. Everybody has to see the vision, right? Is it clear? Is it clear to you? If not, good time to start getting it clear, isn't it? Next one, how about the team? How competent are they? And I love what Mark said. Let's rate them from 1 to 10. One being not so good. And Mark actually said 3 to 9, but let's say 3 is the lowest. But let's say that 3 being isn't so good, and 9's great. If they're 3 to 5s, he mentioned maybe you have to replace them. 5 to 7, a good opportunity to help them grow. Where do they need help? And 7 to 9s, what do we do to empower them? One thing that we found is super powerful is to put people through a mastermind class, what I call a boot camp, especially if they're pretty competent, so that they can get to the next level. And if you've got folks that are at any level, it's a good time to assess and say what training would work. Some training works better for some works better for others. I think a great thing to do with the people that are 7 to 9s is start getting them to coach, teaching them really what coaching means. There you have it. It's a lot of information for today. See you on Tuesday night. Thanks for joining me here, everybody. Love having you here on Auto Mastery University Management Session.